Hey, it's Patrick, and today I'm going to show you how to put a Denali Destroyer D14 headlight in a Harley Davidson Batwing fairing model. The reason I say that is because basically any Batwing fairing model, you'll be able to put this light in. It has its own wiring harness, so you don't have to plug into the stock wiring harness. We're going to run a wire all the way back to the battery, which is why I have the tank off on this. You can run yours however you want. You can try to fish it through. I like to take the tank off just for a clean install. If you want to know how to do that, we have a video to show you how to take the tank off a Harley Davidson touring model. Now this is going to change the style a little bit. It's a little more of I would say an off-road Baja style, although it finishes out nice and clean. You can run your stock trim ring if you want. The light is just slightly smaller than the stock light. I think it comes in at 6 3/4 instead of 7, so it's a really clean install. But the reason you'd want to do this is because it's insanely bright, up to 12,900 raw lumens, total burn your retinas shut, Vin Diesel pitch black style. Super bright stuff. You can change. It's going to change the look of the bike a little bit. Overall, this is a really simple install. You can do this with hand tools in your garage. You don't have to have a lift. You can do this on the kickstand. Any of the tools we use today, we're going to put in the description down below. Like I said, this should be a real slick one. Let's get to work. We're going to cover up our fender, take a Phillips screwdriver, pull our screw out of our trim ring, and pull that off to get to our headlight. So there's 3 Allens in here. We're gonna take a 5/32 Allen, and we're gonna back these big Allens out. The whole headlight is gonna come out. We're gonna unplug it and pull the whole headlight out. Keep a little pressure on this headlight, even with one left, because it could kind of fall down and dent your fender. So you pull this out, these springs need to come out with it. Should be 3 of them that come out with the bolt. Then you wanna reach in behind it, unplug it, then everything will come out. You're just gonna be left with this plate right here. So I need to run the harness that comes with it. We're gonna take this end of the harness with our 2 little connectors here. We're gonna run this through the headlight hole. What I'm doing is I'm running it down the same path as the factory wiring harness. I'm gonna zip tie it along there to the battery, and then we'll attach it to our battery. So we're gonna take 2 1/2-inch bolts out that hold this little plastic tray that holds the ECM in place. That's where the battery is underneath there. Depending on how much lighting is already on the bike, like this one here, you may have some more stuff to fight through or may not. Once we get down there, we're gonna use a 10mm and we're gonna attach our positive side first, and then we'll attach our negative side. There is a fuse in here. Just make sure the fuse is all the way plugged in before you go to test the light out. Because if this fuse is loose or something and you go to turn the bike on and see if the light works, it may not work. So just know you have a little fuse to check there. I'm just going to clean these wires up, put these 2 bolts back in our tray. So our harness is on our battery, our bolts are reinstalled in our ECM tray. Now we can go back to the front of the bike. So when you go to put the bracket on, we want to make sure this tab is up. We're going to reuse the same holes and that Allen hardware with the springs to put this on. So it'll go Allen with a spring behind it. These little tabs here, this is how we're going to mount the actual light. They need to go in towards the bike. So we will put the bracket on like this. There's 2 holes. You want to use what has the biggest markings around it. This top hole here, that's the hole you're going to use to mount the light. There's hardware that comes with it. We're going to need a 12mm wrench or a Phillips. Either one will be able to mount that, and it's going to get mounted just like this. Now, for the plug, there's a choice to be made on your plug here. These wires that are left over are your high beam wires. They have not been installed yet because you have some options. The blue one is United States DOT high beam. The orange one is the EU ECE high beam. This is what Denali refers to as the Destroyer. So if you want to use all 12,900 raw lumens on high, you would use this wire right here, the ECE orange wire. Make sure you follow all of your local laws. To install this, we're just going to push it through. Here it kind of click. And if you look inside, I'm just going to push it up right there. It just clicked. So if you pull on it, it can't quite come out. They send this little green plug and it goes down in the center. You may or may not be able to do this with your fingers. You might need some needle nose. But basically it just goes down in there like that and push it till it sets in there. So we need to deal with our leftover wire. I'm gonna pull this off. I'm gonna fold this down, and they supply you with a piece of heat shrink already on here. I'm just gonna slide that over that like that, and then just heat this up so it shrinks down nice and tight. So now we're gonna plug a little triangle plug into the only little triangle plug on our harness, and then we're gonna plug the flat plug from our new harness into the stock flat headlight plug on the bike. So now we're gonna take our springs that we took out. I'm gonna try to slide them into these holes here. We'll put our bracket up and then put our Allens through and tighten them up with our 5/32 Allen. I would say Loctite on these Allens is optional. You probably are gonna have to put some pressure on these Allens to get them to start. You gotta compress those springs a little bit. So you can use your stock trim ring on this light. We actually have an aftermarket one, but it's gonna be exactly the same. They actually send a little piece of foam tape with an adhesive back. Where you wanna put this is on the trim ring, directly across from the screw that holds the trim ring on. So you want that foam tape to rest up against this top mounting bolt. All that's for is to keep this thing quiet, and in case it wants to rattle, it won't let it do that. So we're gonna put our piece of foam tape on, throw our Phillips screw in, and be ready to test it. Overall, a really easy install, and I think lighting is great bang for buck as far as like time spent installing versus the final finished product, because you get a great functional, really bright light, and you get a really clean aesthetic. Overall, it's just probably take you about an hour and a half in your garage with 4 or 5 hand tools. Looking for more information on this Denali Destroyer D14, go ahead and click on that info tab on your desktop and mobile device. That'll take you to the product detail page where you can read other riders' reviews and more specs about this light. If you are still looking for more information, feel free to reach out to our customer service team. They would love to talk to you about what works best for you, your motorcycle, and your budget. I am Patrick. Thank you for watching, and go work on those motorcycles.